Hello, this is Tracy and welcome back to Artful Creations by Tracy. Today, another installment of my Throwback Thursday technique. I've missed the last 2 weeks of this series due to many things, including illness, but I still have a horrible cough, and if I do happen to cough over this voiceover, please forgive me. Today's video was actually supposed to be released last week, and I did raw video footage, but it was 10 minutes too long for me to upload to YouTube, and here we are back to my voiceover. Now, today's video is about eyelets and brads. If you've been crafting, scrapbooking, or card making for at least 5 or so years, then you probably have these items in your stash. I happen to have a lot. We'll first talk about brads. Maybe you remember these when they were a whole lot larger and they were called brass fasteners. We used them to put fun movable things together when we were in grade school. Do they even still do that? As you can see, they are very tiny, come in a vast amount of colors as well as shapes. Now, I showed you my little pokey pad that I've had forever. It was a precursor to what I believe was self-healing mats, baby. And you could see that it was well loved over the years and that you can use any type of paper piercing tool to poke on top of it. Now, I just showed you a library pocket that I had already cut out and pierced, but I am going to show you how this works. You want to be sure that you're using brads where you want them and not poke them through your entire element so that it doesn't, close up on you. Now, these were Prima flowers that I've had in my stash for a long time. This is just a little decorative element that I have brought to the pocket that you line them up together, put a brad through them, and poke them in your pocket. Now you can glue your pocket together. And what I am showing you now is a little card purse that I made, I'd say about 5 years ago. And I used brads to hold or put that little strap on. And what I'm showing you now is that I covered those brads up with a piece of paper that I cut out of a shape, and that way the card that I just put in there can fit. Now, as I stated earlier, brads do come in many shapes and sizes, and here are some square ones and some flower shapes. These are pretty fancy. Now these here, I would kind of think they're called like a tie clip. They do look like a mini bottle cap, but they do represent a brad. And then I am going to show you the mammoth of all brads. These things I've had for a very long time by Queen & Company. They come, I have them in many colors, and you can see there they are. They are brads as well. I really need to get into them and use those. They are really a fun element of paper crafting. I'm sure I can find some great things to use those on, even cards. Now, what I'm going to show you next, I'm not really sure what they're called. I'm going to call them clock hands. I've had them for so long, and they're not even in the package anymore, so I really don't even know. But you can put a brad right in there, and they can move about. So they're nice little movable elements that you could put on your crafting pages for scrapbooking or card making. All right, now let's get into the tools. These are paper piercing tools. I have one from Cricut, one from Close to My Heart, and one from Harbor Freight. All are still available, so no problem finding those. All right, now let's get into the eyelets. What I'm showing you is the first thing I showed you was a self-healing mat and these tools that were made by Fisker. What on earth are those things? Well, one side is a hole punch, the other side is an eyelet setter, and you can see there's a spring in between them with a very large piece of metal. And to use these, you need that self-healing mat, and one side, like I said, punches the hole, and the other side sets the eyelet. I'm going to go ahead and just mark an area where I want my hole. Let's choose an eyelet first. I'm going to use the larger 3/16 eyelet and make sure that I have the coordinating tool. They do come in 3 sizes, an 1/8 inch, a 1/16 inch, and 3/16 inch. So I'm going to use the 3/16 inch. That is pretty standard. You can go ahead and use your paper piercer, but it's not going to give you the hole size you need, and you can rip your paper. How do you use these monstrosities? You take your size the one for the hole, line it up, make sure it's perpendicular, and bam, homemade. There you go, pretty quick and easy. However, it's a little loud, and I really wish I could have had the noise so you can hear it, but I just don't know how to do that. Now, to set the eyelet, again, you turn it over, you're going to line it up, and you're going to crack that baby. However, it didn't do it the first time, so we need to do it again, and there you have it. Nice and set. It's a little kind of bunchy, not perfect, but for back in the day, those were pretty well used. And they do have other ones. I think they still make these type of tools, if I'm not mistaken. These particular ones I had purchased many years ago from a company called Leaving Prints, and it came with one eyelet setter, one hole punch, and adapters, so that you just screw off the tip and put on the size that you need, so that you didn't have to have too many tools. However, you notice maybe there's no way to, how do you do this? A hammer. That's right, this little tiny hammer that you just simply crack on the top. Again, bam. Lots of noises. If you ever been to a crop back in the day and all you heard was clink, clank, clink, clank, clink, clank, clink. Anyway, then you're going to go ahead and take your setter and turn it over and do the same thing. You're going to put it right in the middle and take your hammer and just go bang, bang. And there you go. Maybe a little bit more banging there. All right, here we have our two eyelets set now. Yes, those are a little bit more difficult to control. So now I'm going to bring in a tool that I would call not your mama's tool. If you've never seen a tool like this, it is called the Crop-A-Dile. This is a handheld version, and it reads, it's strong, silent, and has a serious bite, but no clicking, banging, pounding, twisting, grunting, and cussing. Do you think they answered a call here? All right, let's check this out. It fits nicely into your hand and has a nice smooth grip, and it isn't hard to squeeze. It's very comfortable to use and is not as bulky as it may look. Now, if you look closely, you can see that the hole punches come out on those sides. Now, if we flip it over, you'll see it also has measurements there. So that way you can slide your paper in and out, and there's a hole on top so that you can also, when you mark your paper, see exactly where you're going to hole punch. So that way you can see, make sure it's lined up properly. Now I'm going to use some of the eyelets that came with this kit. I've used several of them before. These are 3/16 inch. They seem to last forever if you're not using them, I guess. So here we go. Let's go ahead and punch that out. And now you'll see that this has four, actually I don't know if you can see that, but this has the settings for the eyelets. When you actually set it, it has a top and the base. The top is labeled A, B, C, and D, and the base is labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you match those up. Each one represents a specific size, and they are outlined in the directions. So for the 3/16 one, we want to set it for A and 1. And you can see I was just pulling them out and turning them, and then they slide right back in. Real easy to do. Once you do that, what you want to do is you want to take your eyelet, insert it into your hole, and the top part, the base part, is the bottom. You want to put that in the top part of your eyelet. And I'm going to do my best to show you here. So see, that slides right in there, and of course it falls out. Now, the base is what's going to squish the bottom of the eyelet, and it's just going to do boom right there. Very easy. I mean, look at that. That thing just set beautifully. Now I'm going to also do it again in case you didn't see it. So once again, the base goes into the top of the eyelet, and the top goes down the back of the eyelet and squishes right there. Boom. Now this makes wonderful presentation on your element. You can bring in some string, ribbon, and just tie that off. It won't rip it. It's just going to look really, really nice. So there you have it. Now I'm going to show you, let's do a tag. I am going to use one of my decorative eyelets, and it's not going to work as well because I believe it was a little smaller, so it smushed it really bad and looks terrible. So make sure that you are doing the proper sizing when you're setting these eyelets. And also keep in mind that some eyelets are actually softer than others and they squish really, really well. So not a lot of pressure is really needed. But here we go. We're going to do that eyelet, a new eyelet, and I'm going to put some ribbon in there. And you're just going to see how well that makes a beautiful tag. And you can put that on a gift. Perfect. All right. Now I'm going to show you some other types of eyelets that you can use. These are for closing like a book. You just pound them in one side, pound them on the other, and then you're going to take a string and wrap them around to close them up. And I'm showing you those little clock hands again because you can also put eyelets in those. I wanted to make sure that you could see that. And if you've seen my paper bag album videos, you're going to see that I have used this, what I'm going to call the big daddy of a tool. This is the Crop-A-Dile tool. It is very handy when you want to get holes in eyelets that are very hard to reach. As you can see, it's designed very similarly to the handheld model. However, you can switch the top to use a hole punch or the setter settings. As you saw there, there's the two sizes as well. And then it has the 4 settings for the top and the base for the eyelet setting as well. Now it has that nice deep well so that you can move your paper up and down up to 6 inches from that very last hole. And I have no idea why I'm showing this tool again, but in any event, I'm going to show you a coupon book that I made. And this particular coupon book does not have eyelets, as you may or may not be able to tell. It's kind of ripping. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, why didn't I think about putting eyelets in? And there, I put eyelets in, and it makes such a nicer presentation. It's not going to tear because, of course, the coupon book's going to get a lot of wear and tear when you're opening it up, and it just looks so much better. And there you have it. I hope you learned something today. I hope you enjoyed this video and would share it with some friends. If you haven't liked or subscribed, I would love it if you would do both. Thanks for watching and have a blessed day.